The Sandy and Toddcast is a Mind Garden Media podcast in association with
Screw You, Todd
Productions. Ghostober is here.
Ghostober, my favorite month of the year. Ghostober. Hi.
I'm excited for October. We're actually here. We've actually got some leaves and stuff starting to fall a little bit. Mm-hmm. So it's just kind of getting there, and temperatures in the 70s. It's like the early part of fall, really feeling good. So
this is my favorite time of the year because it's not hot. It's not cold. It's just so there's still a little bit of that humidity in the air, and it's just beautiful, beautiful. And it's Halloween month. It's not just one day. It's the whole month.
That's right. That's why we're calling it Ghostober.
That's right.
Did we steal that from someplace?
Well, I actually saw it on, I think it was Discovery Plus or
That's
something.
what I thought you did. I thought you did.
But,
I'm like, oh, there's going to be a lawsuit, and I don't have enough money in my account to cover that.
But I hardly think that they have that copyrighted. I mean,
I would hope not.
I would hope not. So we are in Ghostober, and we have so many amazing live casts this month. It's going to be really cool. Plus a bonus live cast on the 17th with two of our three guests tonight, Sue and Damon from Adirondack Park Paranormal Society. They'll be joining us again, along with, I think, one or two or maybe more members of APS to talk about the investigation of the Hotel Saranac. And so that was a huge, amazing investigation, and they'll be joining us on the 17th. Sunday for that. So a bonus episode. Besides all that, we've got our audio cast going on. We've got a new podcast that we're working on as well called The Empathicary, which we'll probably talk about at some point tonight. So just a lot of stuff going on. It's a good month to do it. If you're going to do something fun and kind of woo-woo and spooky, October is definitely the month to do it. So. Yes, and I just want to say hi to everybody. Hi, Vicky. Hi, Betsy. Hi, Deej. Deej is with Diggin' with Deej. She does a YouTube show. She also has a Facebook page. She's amazing. I was with Damon and Sue a couple months ago, and we did one of her shows. It was fantastic. We actually had 4 hours worth of amazing conversation about all things paranormal and mediumship and all kinds of crazy stuff. And so you and I and Damon and Sue will be guesting on Diggin' with Deej, and her friend Audra also has a video cast on YouTube, and we'll be guesting on both of those on the 19th. And we'll have more information for you at the end of the show tonight as to when that is and some cool pictures. We look pretty badass. That's all I can say.
Yeah, and that was fun putting that all together and seeing that turn out. I'm excited about that. Besides that, you and I are going to be, excuse me about that, we're going to be getting a special night coming up on Thursday night because we're going to be getting with Gina Koch.
Yes.
Who's going to be our guest in a couple of weeks to talk about past life regression and stuff like that.
I have been wanting to do this for so long. This is going to be a wonderful night. I hope everybody joins us. It's next Wednesday night, and I am so excited about this. Wait, it's the 20th. I'm sorry. It's the 20th. Wednesday the 20th, not next week. Wednesday the 20th. And I hope everybody joins us because this may be really eye-opening for a lot of people.
I think it's going to be eye-opening for us. She's a multidimensional spirit communicator, energy healer, activator, channel, and earth healer, and she also speaks with animal spirits.
Yeah, she's an animal communicator too.
Yeah.
And she's going to do a couple sessions, one with each of us, and we're going to check it out and see what it's like. And I'm so excited for that. I'm really interested to know what an earth healer exactly is and does too. So it should be really, really fun time. That'll be on the 20th.
We're going to find that out. And Thursday, you have yours at 2:00 in the afternoon. I have mine at 7. Mm-hmm. So you'll have already had your session with her. I need immediate information. I need to know exactly right after that how it is, what happened, what she said, what you said. If your head spun around and you spit out green pea soup, I want to know that.
You
I'd
never
like
know.
pictures of that if
It's
that's
possible. It's possible. She calls on the phone too, which is really cool because I'm so used to everybody doing Zoom and all kinds of stuff that it's just kind of nice to have an actual phone call for once.
I'm going to try to record mine, and I believe we can actually use it on the podcast. I think she said that would be okay. So I
That
thought
would be
that might be
awesome.
kind of interesting.
Maybe you have to show me how to do it because I have no clue.
I don't know, Drew, if she can straighten out your dogs. I think your dogs they got an issue. So
Yeah. Poor Drew. Drew will be joining us next Thursday along with his wife Carissa and some of our other crazy regulars for a Thirsty Thursday. We're bringing Thirsty Thursday back next Thursday, the 14th.
And we're going to talk Halloween movies, spookiness, and then we're going to play a round of match game.
Halloween match game. This ought to be good.
Okay, are you coming up with the questions for that, or is that my job on there too?
I don't know. I'll come up with well, you're so good at that stuff, but I'll come up with some fun questions too.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right, let's go.
Excited. All right. So let's bring out our guests for tonight. We thought it would be really cool to bring out 3 people that we adore and who are very seasoned paranormal investigators. And Dennis, of course, is a local author, and he has a couple of new books out. We're going to talk all about that and do a nice roundtable about investigating. Okay. So let's bring out from Adirondack Park Paranormal Society, Damon and Sue, and my friend Dennis Webster as well from Fort Schuyler Paranormal Society.
There you go. Give him a nice round of applause, would you, Sandy? Come on.
Woo! I love you guys.
Here's the thing. Before these broadcasts, we always just kind of shoot the shit, basically, is what we do. And immediately tonight, it got all blue on us. I don't know how it happened, but I think the one person in the group none of us expected it from is the one who brought it to the table. So that's all I'm going to say on that. We all know who I'm talking about. No?
Damn it, Dennis.
I thought you were going to say
Sue. Or anything.
Thank you, Dennis. I love you too.
Love you guys
we
too.
can't cast blame on Sue all the time.
I got broad shoulders. It's okay.
You know, Sue, I just have to tell everybody what these guys put us through. Just because.
Oh my God. Here we go. Look at this.
Yeah, just because we have not much fear and we go into it with a yearning for understanding and knowledge, they think that it's funny to make fun of us.
You know, you and I could write a book, and publish it, and it would be go like
Dennis,
wildfire.
watch
no
out.
offense, Dennis.
It's nice to know that I have a kindred spirit in this with me. It's not just all the boys.
I got your back, hon. I got your back.
I think the real question is, between Sue and Sandy, who is worse?
Oh boy.
And see, I don't know Sue that well. I only know Sandy, and after you see somebody dance on a grave. Okay, well, we can talk right now on the podcast.
If you get all your information from him, yeah, it's gonna look real bad for me, no matter what.
There's more than just me.
You should see this group chat we have. This is crazy. And of course, Damon is the king of see, we're always innocent. Damon is the king of memes. And so we always have a different meme greeting us every time we talk in the chat.
Do I have to pull some of these up already?
Pull some of the memes out.
All right, let me see if I can find some good. First of all, I want to say that the podcast is brought to you by Nuts on Clark in Chicago. And also,
I need more of that.
The Dairy Queen of Wisconsin.
Oh boy.
So here are some of the memes that Damon has put together for us. Just a couple of them.
This is my favorite. I laugh so hard every time I see that. The whole story behind it.
I actually stole that one. Just gonna put it out there.
You guys are encouraging this. This is not good.
Todd and Damon decided that they were going to get in a fight over cheese somehow.
No. You're the one that promoted us having a fight wearing cheese head hats.
That's
right. The cheese queen called for it. From her throne, she called for the fight. Cheese gauntlets had been thrown down. So
I love that one. I think that's probably one of my favorites too. I love that. Listen. I only danced because I was angry. I was angry. Very angry.
There's me and my telephone. Yep. Hey ho, Kermit the Frog here.
I try.
That's one of my favorites. I don't even
love
know
that
what
one.
we said that during an audio cast one day.
Something about shoving it down your
It
throat.
was two episodes ago, and you guys said something about shoving it down the throat. And of course, when poor Deej has no clue our inside jokes in this group chat, and she's looking for pictures for her upcoming thumbnail, and you guys throw out that one, I'm like, oh my god, Deej is gonna think we're absolutely batshit crazy.
Well,
That was funny.
she better know what she's getting into when she has
That's right.
this on, basically.
That's right. So those are just some of our favorite memes from Damon. I thought they were great. We
I
look
think
pretty badass.
We've
though.
discussed before that Damon and Sue are kind of like us, but in another plane or existence. You know,
Yeah.
we're very similar
Yeah.
in that.
We're just
like our
150 miles away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
About that.
about that. Stone's throw.
Stone's throw away. Yeah.
So we thought tonight we'd just do a little roundtable discussion, being Ghostober, and we're all part of the paranormal world, about investigating styles and some of the things that we like, equipment-wise, how we approach it. You know, we all have very similar approaches to the way we go in. But I said to you guys the other day, I said, you know, I probably can't go long without making fun of Zach Bagans.
No good.
You know, some of the TV
Lord grant me
styles
serenity.
are not necessarily the same style that I would use or that
For
I
sure.
necessarily think are correct. What do you
Yep.
guys say about some of them? Are there any that you particularly like their style?
So the ones that we kind of like aren't even on the air anymore.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Our investigation style we based off from an older show that has been ripped off the air ungraciously
I
for
think
years.
you could still find it on YouTube.
and
Or something
possibly
like
it's
that.
called Ghost Lab. It used to be on
Yeah.
Discovery Channel.
Yes.
That's kind of how we roll with
Mhm.
our
Actually,
investigation
I think
tactics.
I was watching it with my kids a couple days ago. I think it was on Hulu.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of how we base our investigation tactics is off from Ghost Lab, because that was of the ones I watched when I was first kicking off the group before I renamed it and everything. Those are the ones that were a little bit more overproduced, a little bit more believable. They went out and did the whole let's debunk before we try and prove theory, which
That's
is
kind of
how
our
we
philosophy.
roll. Is we prefer to debunk the living crap out of something before we try and say, oh yeah, that's a ghost or something like that.
Mhm.
So
What I liked with them too is that once they had done some of the investigation, you actually got to look at some of the evidence
Yeah.
while they were investigating.
Mhm.
So it wasn't just waiting till the end to see what happened.
Yeah.
You kind of got some of that during the
they
investigation.
convene in their little command trailer and then throw
Yes.
it up on the big screen, and they do real-time review,
It
which was kind of what we do
Yeah.
on some of our investigations. We'll literally convene in as Dennis calls it Ghost Central, we call it the command center or whatever. We'll literally get together around the big screen and go, bam, okay, so that's that. Like the first time we did Hotel Saranac, we literally sat for a good hour
Yeah.
and reviewed the
Mhm.
first
We reviewed EVPs.
6
we reviewed
EVPs
some
we
of
did.
the pictures that
Yeah.
we could, get to quickly. From there, we saw, which was our ultimate goal, find the hot spots.
Yeah.
And then we could focus in on, because it's such a big hotel.
Yeah.
That way we could focus on those smaller areas.
Well, I always thought it was interesting too because it kind of gave you a new roadmap. Some of these investigations make it seem like you go in there and you just kind of throw a bunch of stuff out there and see what sticks, and that's fine. But if you have time to actually,
to the hotel,
yeah, and if you have a chance to actually take a step back and look at and listen to what you may already have, that may take your whole investigation in a totally different perspective.
Yeah.
Mhm.
which is what it did between night 1 and night 2 of the hotel the first time around. We did it. We had 2 teams in the first night, and it was an absolute, it was just a shit show. We went by what the purported issues were. We stuck cameras there, straight up tunnel vision, put the blinders on, didn't pay attention to anything else in the hotel. Mind you, it's a 100-room hotel, and we focused on 8 rooms?
Yep.
On the whole place. And then we stayed up for another 3 hours after we broke down the first night. We reviewed, I don't know how many hours worth of EVP, and we're like, maybe we should go and check this, and this tomorrow when it's just our team.
Yep.
And we got more hits and more evidence off the second night than we did off the first.
well, we spread ourselves out more too, and we didn't have as big a group going in.
Yep.
I mean, we had 5 or 6 people going into the different hotspots, and we've found that the smaller groups get more evidence than the bigger groups. I don't know if it's too distracting.
Yep, true.
Both to, the physical people and the spiritual.
It's overwhelming in a sense.
I think it may be a little overwhelming at times.
Dennis, is there a TV show that kind of was something that interested you early on?
I would say the first early seasons of Ghost Hunters.
Yeah.
On the Sci-Fi Channel, only because back then there were plumbers who happened to be ghost hunters. I think it was much more honest and heartfelt in the beginning. It wasn't so overproduced. And I like the way it was just very quiet and low key. And I think that is the reality of ghost hunting is, you have long periods of silence, and some people will say, well, this is boring if they're new to it, because things happen suddenly out of nowhere when you least expect it.
I was going to say, you can't plan when it's going to happen. And yes, that's the nature of ghost hunting. There's going to be a lot of times where you're just sitting in the dark waiting for something to happen.
I actually, one of the reasons why I wanted to bring it up was last week, Chris Williams, who was somebody that was part of the Ghost Hunters team early on.
Kindred Spirits.
Yes. No. Chris Williams is the other one. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And people have been on her like, why aren't you getting back into the field? Why is it? And she basically said on her Twitter, I went from Ghost Hunters, which was no bullshit, to GHI, which was Ghost Hunters International, where they went all over the world. And she said, bullshit stunts, like bloodletting going on. And now she says some of the shows out there, everything's demonic, everything's a portal, and there's just no reality based to it at all. And I thought that's what's kind of sad for me. I realize that we all, there's entertainment. I understand that. But for those of us who actually go out and investigate, it's kind of sad to see where these programs are taking us.
Yes.
Now,
and that's kind of where we're at with some of these shows that we see these days. It's just crazy.
Now, Dennis and Dave and I, for Schuyler, we have a very low key, laid back approach. Ours is more of observing. And so those silences, the whole time, we're not just sitting there being bored. The whole time that we're sitting there quiet, we're observing, we're taking in smell and sight and hearing and everything. And we're so low key and laid back. And we get some amazing evidence just with 3 people.
That's when they're not dropping the F-bomb in a sanctuary.
I know, right? But I would say that our investigation style is a little bit across of a little bit of the original Ghost Hunters, which, by the way, is on Discovery Plus. I think now it's on Discovery Plus. I've been watching some of the original ones. I'm up to Dude Run, and
I like the original ones.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Without a doubt, me too. And also, we put a little bit of Kindred Spirits in there. And Kindred Spirits is one of my favorites, and so. Being somebody who's open and sensitive and, dare I say, even a medium, that approach, that caring approach, that very open and easy to communicate with approach that we all take, I think really lends itself to a great investigation style. And like I said, we get some really, really good evidence that way. And just to mention about reviewing evidence during an investigation, we did an investigation in August, and in the middle of it, Dennis got a picture that really, we pointed it in one direction. We had already been in that area. We and got some interesting stuff. We went upstairs. He pointed the camera back in that direction and actually got what we believed to be some sort of energy in that area. We went back down eventually too, because we followed the evidence. We went back to see if there was anything else we could get. I think that's a really smart way of doing it.
Is that the one you sent to us to have us look over?
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. And I got one too, which was interesting. We both got them.
Yeah, that was
so
awesome.
that tells you, that kind of tells you that there's something going on there. So I love that style. I think it's much better than a very overcomplicated, frantic style, a demanding style, a taunting style. I mean, you taunt when you have to taunt. You do what you have to do.
You grave dance when you feel you want to do the
Exactly.
move.
Exactly.
Walk through black mess when you need
Exactly.
That's right.
You know?
Exactly.
But to go in there expecting that, I think is the wrong approach completely.
I mean, yes, we have taunted in the past and we've got aggressive, but that's only like.
But that's after we get our baseline.
Yeah, that's after we get a baseline, and after it's like, okay, well, things are sort of cooling down, but we know you just feel that they're waiting for something to provoke or to push them over to the edge so they start responding, and it's like, okay, well, if you don't want to deal with us, we'll go somewhere else, and usually that's where we get our best stuff is right at that one pivotal moment. Like the train state, Saranac Lake Union Depot was a prime example of that. We questioned the hell out of the main room for a good hour plus, and we're like, you know what? Fine, screw you, we're out of here. And literally, as soon as we walked out the door, we had a clear, and I wish I could find the file, clear EVP that says "I'm sorry" in almost a childlike voice as we walked out the door.
Yeah,
and it's like, bam, there it is.
There it is. Wow. Yeah. Okay.
And Todd, you have a great story too, an investigation you did, and I think we talked about this once before, but it's worth bringing up. When you asked the spirit to communicate in any way that they actually could, right?
Yeah, I mean, again, we go in with all this equipment and all this quote unquote knowledge of how we're going to pull off this investigation. We got this little plan, and you go into a place that, you know, is reportedly haunted and nothing's going on. And finally, at the end of the night, we were all tired, kind of drained. We'd gotten some little things happen that were interesting. And I just thought, you know, maybe we're asking this energy, this entity, this person to do something that they don't know how to do. Maybe they don't understand how to communicate with a spirit box. Maybe they don't understand what, you know, a K2 meter is or whatever it might be. And I just said, you know, at this right now, get all the energy you can, do something you know how to do, something you do every day that you know how to, that you can do to communicate. And I literally said, do it right now, 3, 2, 1. And at that exact moment, it was at a restaurant, at a bar, the cooler door handle, you know, those big metal cooler doors that they have in restaurants, the door handle popped out and popped back in at that exact moment.
Wow.
Nice.
And for me, that wasn't just a, hey, we got a response. That was a, you stupid fool. People communicate differently, even in the human world. Some of us are writers. Some of us are speakers. Some of us, you know, do music and art. Same thing there. They, you know, there's different ways of communicating. So we can't go into these things feeling like we're going to tell them how to communicate. We can't do that.
We at the same train station, there was a gentleman back in the day that used to play the organ. Piano. Well, similar.
Yeah.
They sound just like us. Oh my God.
Just
dealing with a
bit.
small child.
There's two stations. They're 10 miles apart, and the stations had twin upright pianos. Take it away.
Interesting.
Anyways, when we directed our conversation towards a gentleman that used to play the organ, we heard piano music. And
3
again,
o'clock in the morning in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. And it was
That's cool.
just, and there's no more piano or anything in there anymore that could even do that. There's nothing in that corner anymore that could even do that.
Yeah, there's nothing in the station, period. That was before we started doing the additions and putting more stuff in for the train.
They had pulled everything out of that corner.
Yeah.
So, and then when we did Dennis, when we went down to Sylvan Beach, and we were talking with, I forget the guy's name.
Dr. Kavanaugh.
Thank you.
Dr. Kavanaugh, yeah.
And between Sandy, Michelle, and I, we kept kind of poking the bear, so to speak, all night long.
Not you.
Yeah, me. I know. It was their fault. So.
Right. I'm sure you didn't need much help.
But by the end of the night, we had gone into what they thought was the office, and the three of us were sitting almost side by side, and a chair got literally thrown. I had just taken that chair as we walked into that room because I thought somebody might trip on it, and I pushed it under the table, so I know it was there. And while we're sitting there, again, kind of, saying, we're here, and we know information that we're not supposed to know. And suddenly, it's like he had his fill with us, and he took the chair and he chucked it across the kitchen.
Yeah, and one day.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say I jumped about a foot in the air.
Oh yeah, he did.
To say ghost hunters don't get scared. That thing got thrown, and it was a couple of feet behind me. I jumped because there was no one behind me.
And two interesting things about that. Number one, we got it all on audio.
Yes.
We got Sue actually mumbling as she pushed the chair in because she didn't want anybody to trip over it.
I talked to myself.
So we actually got her pushing the chair in. And then we got the chair being slammed and nobody was even near it. And the other interesting thing about it is we had sort of been poking the bear upstairs at one point, having to do with
masonry.
The masonry.
Yeah.
And he was a Mason. What was it, Sue? 32nd degree?
He was 32nd degree, yep.
32nd degree Mason. Yeah. And Sue grew up in a family. Dennis is a Mason. Sue grew up in a family of Masons. So they knew exactly how to kind of poke the bear.
Well, as a female, I'm not supposed to have this information.
Exactly.
So that didn't, that again, there's another poke.
So that sort of came, but it's that knowledge of what to do and how to do it. Like Todd, when you said do what you can do, because we got downstairs and right before I went through all of the audio, right before the chair got thrown down, we heard 3 knocks on the wall. And we didn't hear that in person, but we sure as heck picked it up on the audio right before the chair got thrown down. And that's one of the ways that Masons enter the Masonic Temple. So we certainly got Dr. Kavanaugh's attention, but it's knowledge, it's research beforehand. It's the knowledge that you take in with you beforehand and knowing how to drive the situation in the right direction.
Right. You know, Sandy, that's like all of us knowing the names of the people that owned my house.
Yes.
That's another thing, Todd, that the 4 of us all investigated the home I live in. Yeah. Which we talked about before, that I live in my own haunted house.
Yeah.
Yeah. I left. I had slept in, I think it's your office, and I left a REM pod on while I was sleeping, and it went off twice. And the second time I said, you know what? Some of us have to sleep. So I reached over and I shut it off, and
all of us had to sleep. And you had the damn thing so fucking loud.
I was curious.
Yeah, I would have been too.
If they were going to come around while we were sleeping, and they did.
Dennis, I know you guys investigated. Does anything happen on a daily basis that while you're not investigating, things are just happening?
All the time. Last night I was asleep and I heard a noise and I looked over, my closet door opened and I was so tired. I'm like, you know what? Just okay, whatever. And then when I woke up this morning, it was closed.
Don't you get used to it? I would assume you
do.
Get used
I was
to
just
it.
like, what are you doing?
And you acknowledge them, and then you keep moving on. Because
and you know what's
morning.
You know what's really cool about that though is that I feel like where Dennis's closet is, that there may have actually been a door originally to the outside on the second floor.
Yes, you and I had this conversation.
Yes, and I really think that could be
almost
part
like
of
a balcony.
what goes on. Yeah, what goes on in that corner, the way it does, because he's had other stuff happen there before too. So very interesting. I love that house.
Yeah,
we need to all get together and do it again.
You're an author. Are you going to write a book about your house? I'd like to actually. You should.
Yeah, actually, starting to work on in Central New York. The investigation all of us did on this house is actually going to be in the book.
Sweet. That's awesome.
Sweet.
Dennis is frozen.
Dennis is frozen. Let's talk a little bit about some of the press that you've gotten, Dennis, just recently. Like,
that's one of the book signings coming up.
This guy's all over. But look at that picture of him. Looking good.
Dapper, professional looking. If only they knew Dennis.
Somebody put some turtle wax on that dome there.
Well, I mean,
that guy on the program.
We should have him come on the program one of these days.
Yeah, maybe we can invite him up and do an investigation with him.
Awesome.
Yeah, that would be
That'd be great.
He's so famous now.
I love this one.
Damn.
Don't fear the mullet. Oh my!
See, Dennis, one rule about the group chat is anything goes in the group chat, and anything is public domain in Todd's world.
Well, here's the problem. I didn't put these photos together, as Sandy pointed out before the broadcast. She's the one who organized everything, so I'm just pulling up random stuff here.
Who knows what we have coming up?
You know, I put that my hair there on a milk carton.
Did anybody call the 1-800 number looking for it? I don't know if anybody spotted that in about 20 years. Man.
And Dennis, this is your new edition of the book about the Old Main.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah,
got
but
new
boy, I wish
pictures.
we could. Yeah, new pictures, new forward. I added some content. But boy, that I would love for us to be able to get in there to ghost investigate. We just can't.
Oh,
It's
You
owned by the
volunteer.
state, owned by the state of New York, and they got a fence around it. They'll arrest you if
No.
you try to get in there. But
Who knows how to get into fences?
I
So
Well,
does
So
Dennis.
does Sandy, yeah.
I have a
Hey,
tiny
I wasn't by myself. He was with me.
I know that's the problem.
I have a tiny little confession to make. A few
Uh-oh.
months ago, Dave and I were driving around, and I said, "Let's go over to the Old Main." And I did kind of walk up in a little bit and take some pictures.
See,
And
it's
Got
not
it.
me. It's not me.
So
She
you're
does.
not allowed to be with either of them.
hey, they know how I am. You guys remember when I went into the attic at
Yeah, I know how you are.
at
and broke
Trudeau, what
into
did I
a building
remember?
you
What
weren't
did I-
supposed to be into?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
what
was
did I
supervising
find
him.
in the attic? Do you remember? I
a
handed it down
coconut
to you.
bra?
No,
No, that
not the
was in another
coconut bra. It was something even better. You guys remember what it was, Sue and Damon? Oh, Jesus.
I think it was a coconut bra, if I'm not mistaken. I think that is what you
It
found.
was that was a trigger object. I was doing it all in the pursuit of ghosts.
Dennis, it
Yeah.
I love
triggered
my
me.
craft,
It
Todd.
triggered
Wow.
me. It triggered me.
Wow. No, was it the letters that you found?
It
or
was the
or
letters. It was some of the
paintings?
pictures of some of the past people that were
The patients.
patients.
Yep.
Yeah.
We found you found that book of poems from one of the patients.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
That's
but don't
crazy.
you remember I found the antique toilet up in the attic?
Oh yeah.
No,
there's
that was
too.
it. That was in Dodd.
That was in Dad. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing. He grabbed the ladder and started climbing up. And he goes, "Can I do this?" And I said, "You're doing it."
Good thing I didn't know about that one.
Oh yeah, you know that the old water closets that you pull the chain
Uh-huh.
and you asked why it was sitting on the floor. It might have come from the hole in the ceiling.
Wow.
Damon, I think you need to take control of your group. It sounds like there's nobody running that thing over there.
But so the Old
It's
Main,
always fun when I hear over the radio, "Bring the screwdriver."
you never know what you're gonna get. But
We are dedicated to our craft. And
Sure.
that's all I'm gonna say.
it's true, Sarah. It's so true. We like to break the rules a little bit. You have to kind of break the rules a little bit. Need I say more? Need I say more?
And then they get pushed
But,
downstairs.
Yeah. Poor Sarah. Sarah actually was the investigator who got pushed down the stairs at the Russia Union Church. We were, Jen and I were right behind her, and she
Yeah.
actually was the one who actually got pushed on the stairs. So
Yeah.
See, they're blaming it on the ghost, but really it was them.
Yeah.
Jen and
And
I
you
were
know
like,
what? And you know what was really cool about that investigation, Todd, was the former group I used to be in, Ghost Seekers Essential, investigated that church years and years ago, and Amps went in, and Sandy and I were there, and everything that happened in that previous investigation with the other team of what happened with Sue, Damon, and
Yeah.
the teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A person getting
Yep. We
pushed
got
down
somebody-
the stairs, the second floor bed area, the incident down in the one room schoolhouse. It was like, you can't make these things up. It was so odd. It was just
Yeah.
spot on.
it was
Identical.
just crazy energy in there. Sarah and Jen and I were upstairs a lot that night. We kind of stuck together up there, and we could actually feel whatever it was up there moving around and kind of playing games with us.
Mhm.
We could validate it with our equipment, but it was playing games with us all night long.
Yeah.
And the great thing was the way it moved. It actually moved it followed the old floor plan. It never went
Yes.
across the center. It followed the horseshoe.
Yeah.
And a lot of this stuff you don't even truly think about until the investigation's over.
Right.
And then you sit back and you think about it and you're like, oh my gosh. Yeah, we did, Sarah. We
Yeah, we-
actually had to chase it around because it would come up to us and back off and come up to us and back off. And
it
we
put
were
poor
moving,
Dennis to sleep.
taking it around. Yeah.
Yeah.
We were
Knocked poor
nervous.
Dennis out.
He
We
scared
were
us.
nervous.
Yeah.
He
Way to
scared
go,
us.
Dennis. You scared us.
We had gone upstairs at one
Yeah.
point, all of us, and sort of surrounded the whole inside of the room. And that's when we kind of did a little bit of provoking. And Dennis had gone up into like the attic. Is that what that was?
Into the bell tower.
Yeah.
We're
And
looking
at
for the
one
Baskin
point,
belfry.
we kind of called Dennis and we got nothing. So we started to get really
About
nervous.
5 times.
Yeah.
Well, what I did was I had started to meditate, and it's never happened to me. I fell asleep while I was meditating.
Meanwhile, I'm like, well, he signed the non-liability waiver, so I mean, we're good.
We're good to
We'll let
go.
him find him in
Yeah.
the morning.
And then, when we were
Yep.
down in that one-room schoolhouse, I was there when Elf got pushed to the floor.
Yeah.
Mhm.
When she
Yep.
touched that overhead beam.
Yeah.
And that's the exact spot that when I was there with Ghost Seekers that we picked up the F-bomb on an EV.
See, and that's why teachers tell us
Pee.
never to jump up and slap the door casing.
Well, you
This
know
is
what
why.
makes what makes that even more interesting was about 20 minutes before, Amy Lynn and I had gone down to use the bathroom, and she was in the bathroom, and I went into the kitchen not knowing what was going on, and I put my hands, and I can feel stuff, I can feel energy, and I put my hands up on that beam, not even thinking, and immediately pulled them off. Like, just felt a little dizzy, a little bit just kind of nervous, immediately pulled them off. Didn't say anything because I didn't think I thought it was just me. And about 20 minutes later was when that happened. So that's pretty scary.
Where, if you guys had to choose a place that you've been to, this is going to be a two-parter, and I want to hear from everybody, but if you had to choose a place that you've already investigated that's in your top 5 or top 2 or top 1, if you can't choose one, what would that be? And then a place that you haven't been to that you are just, you're dying to get into to check out. What are those 2 places for you guys?
Well, I think for me, as bad as it was, I would like to go back to Trudeau Sanatorium and do it again.
Just be a lot better prepared next time.
Yeah, because I don't think we were fully prepared for what we met.
Mm-hmm.
And I would also like to go to Fort Ticonderoga.
Oh, for sure.
I was there as a child, and I had stuff happen that I didn't understand. I understand now. I saw stuff that I didn't understand that I shouldn't be seeing. As a 10-year-old child going on the class trip, you shouldn't be seeing people standing in the dungeons. And there were people standing in the dungeons. And when I asked the teacher, well, why are they in there? She goes, there's nobody in there. Okay. So we left. Now I want to go back.
Makes sense.
As an adult with the information I have now.
Right.
Without the antipsychosis meds they prescribed you after that event.
No,
They
she's
didn't-
going to stay on those.
Thanks, Todd.
Helps with the hallucinations that way.
What about you, Damon?
I would probably I would concur with Sue on that one. That was Fort Ty has been on my bucket list for a while. That's one of the more local places that is definitely haunted. I would say that the next one up to go to that I haven't been to yet would be Bolt Castle.
I was gonna say
out in the Thousand Islands. But I would say that I've been to and would want to go again would probably be Trudeau, with a lot more preparedness
Mhm.
than before, because that was dark and it took a lot out of all of us.
Yeah.
No, that took
Dennis,
out
how
the
about
stuff.
you, Dennis?
The one place that I would love to go back again, and then I only investigated it once, and it was off the charts, was the Overlook Hotel in Little Falls, New York.
Yep.
It looks like something out of a Scooby-Doo show. I mean, this old Victorian mansion, and it was a bread and breakfast. And
Nice.
when we investigated that place, it was insane. I had a prayer book thrown at me. We got stuff in mirrors during the day, stuff during the night, and it's just unreal. I think you stayed there, Sandy, didn't you?
I've never stayed there. Dave's been in there. He's DJ'd in there before, I think once or twice, but that would be on my list of places I'd like to.
Because in Little Falls they've got what's that place that everyone talks about, Sandy?
Beardsley Castle.
Yes, Beardsley Castle.
Okay.
I investigated Beardsley Castle, and yes, it's haunted, and that's been on every show on TV. But yet,
Mhm.
Overlook which is only a few miles away, is to me 10 times more paranormal. It's just insane
overlooked.
because there's very tragic occurrences in that place that I don't want to really say, but there's a documentary called Lost Sparrow. If you watch that, then you'll know the bad stuff that happened in that mansion.
Mm-hmm. That's
in
always
the
been so
70s.
mysterious for me, and I would love
Writing
to
it
get
down.
in there and be able to investigate and feel the
Oh.
energy in there. And also, I think I would love to do something like a Trudeau or something like that.
Trudeau was
Yeah, I
is-
think that would be pretty bucket list for me. I think I would have to go
Trudeau
in pretty
again,
prepared
definitely.
myself. Yeah.
That's going
my
to take a lot of groveling to get back in the Trudeau again.
my favorites, personally, I would say probably the two I would have to say would be Rutger Mansion. I was just talking to Dave about that because Dennis and I, along with Bernadette and Dave Peck from Ghost Seekers of Central New York, were just in an article that came out this month with Accent Magazine. We took the reporter and her friend through the Rutger Mansion, and Dennis and I investigated it. September of last year for Ghost Pubs and Grub, our internet show, and it just insane craziness happened in there. And I would say that would be one of my favorites. And I would also say that the Angry Garlic in Baldwinsville was one of my favorites
Mhm.
because I experienced things that night that I truly, and jokes aside, the mist aside, things that I never thought that I would experience. It was sort of like an awakening for me.
I was going to say, it kind of seemed like the place that kind of made you realize where your talents actually lie, you know?
Yeah, a lot. It was times 10 that night, and it sort of hit me in the face, but it was good. It was one of my favorite places because it taught me a lot.
Well,
So,
the one
yeah.
place that I would love to get into, and it's the place I stayed it was the day I met Damon and Sue for the first time. And I went up to meet them, and on my way back, I stayed at the Adirondack Hotel of Long Lake. I would-
Yes,
definitely.
that's another one.
Yep.
Absolutely love to investigate it. The owners say it's not haunted. It's absolutely haunted. I had all sorts of stuff happen to me when I stayed there. Staff told me all sorts of stories.
You can feel
It's
it
a
from the
cool
outside.
place.
You can feel it from the
Drive past
outside.
and you can
Insane.
feel it.
But I don't know what it is about them. They won't talk about it. I even had one of their housekeepers say to me, "Well, I don't ghost hunt because I believe in God." That's what this one lady said when I was asking staff questions. But I spent one night in that place, and I was like, "Man, it's wicked haunted. I'd love to get in there."
Yeah.
But
Maybe
Dennis, that kind of falls in the same category as like when we did Heaven Hell or even Stagecoach to an extent of, all the employees say it's haunted as hell, but the owner's like, I don't know,
Yeah.
we don't want the bad business. And that's the stigma you have up here. Once you get inside the park, it's like, no, we don't want that bad kind of business.
Do you guys find that when you investigate like restaurants and inns and things like that, that you find a mixture of owners who some may say, oh, it might actually help business if they find
Yes.
evidence. And
Yeah.
then some who say, oh, geez, I hope they don't. I don't believe it. I don't think it will. It would hurt our
We
business.
have that all in one building.
Yeah.
Hotel Saranac.
Yeah.
The owners of the Hotel Saranac back us wholly. We've been in there twice.
Yeah.
They've had their own experiences there themselves. There's other people that just think it's all a bunch of hogwash.
Yeah, there's a few employees who are like, no,
Yeah.
we're not going to do it.
Mhm.
But
I
the
worked
owners
there.
want to get on the haunted hotel registry, real bad. And
Actually,
I mean,
aren't they number 7 in New York State?
They actually no in the country. It was the USA Today poll. They made number 7 haunted hotel in the Northeast, I
Yeah.
believe it was.
Yeah.
Which is an awesome achievement, considering they only reopened their doors 5 years ago. Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
2013.
2013, Rodell's bought it. They broke ground, so to speak, in 2013. We investigated in 2014, and they opened up 2016.
2016?
No, 2017. 17. So for being around for, a mere 5 years, they've made top 7. That's a huge achievement.
Because,
Wow.
again, they embrace it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you have the boots on the ground, some of the boots on the ground
Yeah.
staff that just don't want anything to do with it. And
Well,
that's, kind
even
of,
before the
you get that in
Rodells-
every place.
Even before the Rodells had it, I worked there for 8 years, and there was always some kind of activity going on in that building.
Yeah.
Always. I had some staff that refused to go on certain floors without somebody else with them. I had one gal call me from the one of the closets going, "Come get me," because I'm not coming out. There are people walking down the hall, and I'm the only one on this floor. There were other words included in that, but I'll clean it up. But yeah, there was always activity in that building. Yeah. I love the Hotel Saranac.
It is.
That was our first major investigation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you and I met.
When I was with you guys, that was a great investigation. Remember the top hat moved?
Yep.
Yes, that was perfect. That was one of
and
those.
I think I was with you, Sue, and maybe Jess, when we heard footsteps under the bed.
Yes.
Under the bed?
Because
that's where the boogeyman lives.
Yeah,
of course
like across the floor.
The layout of the rooms aren't what they used to be.
Oh.
So, and in one of the rooms, we used to joke about the ghost cat. And there was a woman that had died in that room. And on that particular floor, the hotel originally had permanent residents. Yep. And then the other 3 floors were regular hotels. And this woman had died. She had a do not disturb sign on the door, so nobody went to go check on her. And she was cranky anyway, so everybody kind of gave her a wide berth, so to speak. Some of the patrons started complaining about a smell. So they opened up the door, found out she had died. And the cat she had they literally had to pry the cat off because it wouldn't leave its owner. And the girls used to complain to me, and I've had the same thing happen. While you're making the bed, you know how a cat will paw at your foot. You'll feel something paw at your foot while you're making the bed.
Wow.
Yeah. Or you'll find a perfect ring like a cat will do. They'll crawl up into a ball. Bed will be perfectly made, and you'll have a perfect circle on that bed.
Wow.
That's weird.
The other thing that happened there too, which was crazy, is you set up the service for tea down in the Great Hall.
Yes.
And purposely offset a spoon, basically to trigger one of the instructors that has been known to.
The hotel was purchased by Paul Smith College, which is known for their hospitality management training and culinary training. So they had bought the hotel as a physical place for them to train, a working hotel. And there was one lady that was very demure. Everything had to be just so. She would teach them how to set tea, proper tea, etc., that type of thing, and how to dress for tea, your mannerisms you're supposed to use. Well, she ended up dying in the hotel. And so just to see if she was still around, again, it's one of those trigger objects. I set up a tea set, an old Victorian tea set, and I purposely misplaced a spoon over here and put a napkin in the wrong place just to see if it would move. And it did. The spoon got put back where it was supposed to be.
Yeah, we were all upstairs. Actually, Dennis was with us on. We were up 2 floors above, and we came back down and were like, "Who fixed the tea set?" Because like literally, it was.
Yeah,
immaculate.
We all went up as a group, and we all came down as a group. So there was.
Yeah, the only thing we didn't do is set a live action DVR camera on the settings.
Yeah,
the moving of objects is very interesting to me. Dennis and our team for Ghost Pubs and Grub, we were at the Rutger Mansion, and we had a couple of interesting things happen. We had a dresser move in one of the old bedrooms that literally moved. Nobody was near it. And also, I love the story because it really shows how powerful they can be. When Steve, who takes care of the mansion, essentially, left for the night for us to begin our investigation, he had us lock the door behind him so that people couldn't come in off the street. Yeah. And so we actually, I think, Dennis, didn't we get it on film that we had locked the door?
Yes, we did.
And it was sort of like 3 locks. There was even a chain lock involved. And we all went up, did our investigation, and we ended up in the basement, and we came upstairs from the basement, and we were all relaxed. We were all together. we put our stuff down and we said our closing prayer for the night. And all of a sudden we hear this noise and in walks Steve. And it took us a second to kind of realize that Steve walked in and the door was locked. And so something or someone who probably wasn't of this earth actually physically unlocked the door while we were investigating.
Yeah.
That was, I mean, that would take a lot of power to be able to unlock a door. 3 locks on a door.
Just out of curiosity, did you have a lot of battery drain?
Dennis did. Dennis is, what did you have, Den? What was it? The Mel meter? Your Mel meter?
Yeah, it died a couple of times. I changed the batteries twice.
We hadn't even made it up the stairs to the 2nd floor at the beginning of the investigation, and it had drained the first time.
Yeah.
And then we found what we believe to be some sort of vortex going up through the rooms in the house. We were on the 3rd floor, and Dennis and I could feel it, a cold spot, and we could feel some really good temperature fluctuations underneath a table in the middle of a room.
Interesting.
In a circular kind of pattern. And we went down. I said, let's go downstairs and see in the room below it. And we went down, and sure enough, it was in the same spot. And it was reading in the 70s that night. It was still September. And it was a big old closed up house. So it was very warm. And it was still reading pretty warm, except in that one spot. So we thought that was very interesting. That house is alive.
Yeah, how about when we were in the basement and the EMF meter went up to like 60, 70?
Isn't that the Conjuring house?
Yes. We were getting EMF hits in the 60s, the 70s down there. And actually, as we were going to the stairs to go up, I got an EVP of something apparently looking over my shoulder and saying the reading on my EMF right before I did.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It was crazy.
Dennis, you had stuff go on over at Stagecoach too. You had a couple personal objects get tossed.
Oh yeah, I stayed in that room by myself with the door locked, and I have a rosary. I'm Roman Catholic, but not practicing much anymore. But I bring my rosary with me everywhere. We all have our talismans, and that night it got yanked off my neck. And Sue was there when that happened, when we were in the one bedroom that goes down to the basement. And I remember I used the pliers and I fixed it.
Yep.
And that's where we determined, Todd, that home had a deacon that had lived there, Sue?
Yeah. Yep.
Right. So of course he
Lutheran.
didn't like seeing
Lutheran.
Didn't like seeing my Catholic crucifix,
Yep.
So I had taken it off my neck and I put it on the nightstand like 5 feet away from where I slept. And when I heard a noise in the middle of the night. And when I got up, my rosary was on the other side of the room and it had been busted.
Wow.
So I obviously picked up, broke it, and threw it.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. You guys probably noticed the picture I brought up when I a little bit earlier with the Conjuring house. I wanted to, this thing is up for sale again, $1.2 million. Family had purchased
Headquarters?
it.
Yeah, we'll just do a fundraiser.
Well, I was going to see how much money. And Dennis is the author. I'm thinking this would be a great place to go write a book, and the rest of us could live in the house.
We'll just hit up Dennis. He's got all that cash now.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
What do you guys think about like purchasing a location? Now, Dennis has a home and everything that is haunted. I'm not sure, Dennis, if you bought it thinking that it was haunted, and that's the reason why you bought it. But what do you feel about families that buy locations like this that has history like it does, and then they basically open it up as a bed and breakfast and want people to come through? I just, we all have our thoughts. I'd like to get your thoughts on it.
It's like the people that bought the Amityville house.
Well,
yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
It's one thing to be haunted, to have, spirits floating around and all that fun stuff, because Dennis and I both have the same situation in our houses. But it's something else when there's something that negative there.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you,
that
Sue.
You're inviting that negativity to attach to somebody who's completely innocent, that doesn't know how to protect themselves.
Or you get the Joe Schmo wannabe ghost seeker that decides to go and,
walk through mist.
Yeah, there's that too, or dance on graves, but decides the one that they want to go like do a nonstop, haunted house crawl across the country and hit every single hot spot, and get, be susceptible to crap they don't know what the hell they're dealing with.
Yeah.
Yeah. let's bring our pocket Ouija board with us, and
Yeah, no.
let's
I don't
open
know.
up the
I
seven
don't.
circles of hell kind of
I
crap.
just think that doing that kind of thing brings on bad karma.
Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
that's where I was
Yeah.
going
It's
with
just
that.
like Todd, how none of us charge for what we do. We do this because it's a pursuit and a passion and a calling.
Exactly.
And we
Yeah.
don't charge people money to go in and do investigations. I think that
Yep.
you're starting out on a bad paranormal foot, and to take a house and exploit the spirits for profit,
Yeah.
I don't
And-
think that.
For sure.
we start when we go into an investigation. I know we all do this. That's here on this forum. We start out with respect.
Yeah.
And if something is negative, we address it right off that they can't attach to us, etc. And we close with respect.
Yep.
No matter what happened during the investigation, we always close with respect, and that's, to me, that's half the key. I think you get more flies with honey than you do with vinegar type thing.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
totally agree.
Just throwing up some pictures of you guys and the groups that you're with and the logos and stuff like that because they're all so cool.
Dennis, tell us a little bit about Haunted Adirondacks. What was your favorite investigation in that book?
Definitely Trudeau. Definitely. With Sue and
He's just
Damon
saying
and
that 'cause
Apps. No, it's the very first story in the book. And even the publisher agreed. They read all the stories and they changed my order a little bit, but they put Trudeau right up front and center.
Yeah.
It's such a
Yeah,
compelling
it's deserving,
investigation. There's just
Yeah.
so many buildings and everyone overstuffed with
Yeah.
paranormal activity and different. A
Mhm.
different feeling, if we ever get back in there,
Currently-
Sandy, oh,
Oh, I would love to get in there.
What is there? Well, when we went to go investigate, I counted 17 buildings on property.
Right.
We were only allowed into 7. And
Mhm.
of those 7, then they decided to scale it down to 5.
Yeah. I think it was-
Well, it turned out to be 7 anyway because Dennis and Sue decided to.
I knew that was
Explore.
going to come. I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming.
But
But we walked into
5
that
we
building.
hit were the hottest ones that we hit.
it was crazy. It was draining.
I mean, it turned
was- yeah.
it literally turned people against each other because we were not
Yeah.
prepared for what we were walking into, and Dennis can attest with his former team. I mean, me and Dennis and a couple others were outside. We walked in, and it was like Royal Rumble in Mission Command. It was like, what the hell's going on? Like everybody was at each other's throats, and we
Mhm.
couldn't figure out why.
And
Because they've never
And it's
never
all-
been a thing like that.
I mean, there was the buildings that we did do. They all had activity, but they had different types of activity and different levels of activity. And yeah, there was one that was really bad.
Let me ask you guys this question, and we'll wrap it up a little bit before we ask Dennis where we can buy his books. What does it take to scare you? Like, is there
Great
something
question.
that would
Great question.
happen that would scare you?
Not like Dennis going, something made me jump kind of thing, but something that would scare you where you would question whether or not
You
this
should
was
continue.
right.
Trudeau.
Yeah, Trudeau.
Yep.
When I research, I have a tendency to get connected to whatever I'm researching. And this has never happened before. Sometimes I get visions and stuff like that. I'm used to that. Sometimes I get messages in my head, but it all attributes to the research that I'm doing. And I always find out that I can use it during the investigation. Damon will tell you I keep most of that information to me, so I don't affect and make us go in with blinders as far as what we're looking for. But this particular investigation, I saw something came to my house, which is, it's kind of like, this is my sacred space. Nothing enters.
Right.
And it scared the crap out of me. I shooed it away in the blessing that I do. And I thought that was done. Well, that building that Damon was talking about and that Dennis was talking about that affected everybody, it came out, not physically, but I heard his voice in my head while one of our investigators was using his dowsing rods and having a yes-no question going on. He was answering in my head, and it completely, and this has never, ever happened to me, completely wiped me out. Scared me to my core, and I don't get scared.
Yeah.
I get a little, okay, what is that?
Yeah.
And fine, I'll address it. I deal with it. I have my protections, But this,
Yeah.
I was messed up.
And it's when I see the rest of my team in that state that I went, yep, we need to shut it down. And that was literally, it was the last night of investigation. We were actually planning on staying until when we usually cut out at 3.
Yeah, we cut out early.
And it was like, okay, we're going to shut it down now and close this out because it is getting way
I
too
think
sketchy.
it's the same thing that
And
affected Dennis's team.
Dennis's team beat feet early too. Bernadette was like, nope, we're done. It's out. Done. See ya.
Yeah.
Bye.
There's something very,
let's shit and get.
very bad in one of those buildings.
What about you,
Yep.
Dennis?
I know for me, what scares me is it's only happened a handful of times on the many investigations, and that's when something comes up from behind me. Something comes up and you're not seeing it, you feel it coming behind you, and suddenly it's on you or breathing on your neck or touching you or whatever. That scares the crud out of me, and I don't know why. I have this thing about, even I guess because I'm from the Utica area, I sit with walls to my back, like mafia stuff, but it's a big joke in Utica. You always sit with your back to the wall, isn't it, Sandy? Everyone says that.
We actually did an episode on the Utica Mafia.
Yeah, and it's just coming from behind me where I can't see it coming. That scares me.
Yeah, it's very scary. I don't think I've had anything yet that has truly scared me. I'm sure that at some point something will come along.
And see, I had the same mindset. Sandy.
Yeah,
I had the exact same mindset that nothing can touch me. And so now it's one of those, okay, something can get to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all.
Yeah. I think maybe for me, it would be maybe being touched. I don't know. I don't know yet. I haven't come across the incident in Plainfield with Augusta Gein when I touched the stone. That didn't scare me. It just angered me. I felt very angry about it.
Those posy mitts for her.
But but I don't know. I haven't come across anything yet that's really scared me. And I'm not saying it won't, because I definitely know that I have that, I'm capable of being afraid, but I just haven't yet found anything. So interesting.
It'll happen.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You're saying this business long enough, it'll happen.
And Dennis, we can get your
books on. I got a funny story real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I was going to say that when we were doing the Ilion Little Theater, which was the old Remington carriage house, and I was on a ladder and I got pushed. I went to step and something pushed my leg and I fell about 10 feet to the floor. And I swear to God, I thought I pooped my pants. I swear to God. I thought I had a paranormal poop. You ever do that? You have like traumatized. When I landed, I went, ugh, and I lay there going, oh my God, I crapped myself. I don't know. I think I did, but I didn't. Thank God.
Well, that's good at least.
They don't sell ghost
Susie just
hunting
causes
diapers.
physical harm to herself.
Okay, note to self: we have to add that to the equipment.
I know.
Got it.
I actually carry Depends in my equipment bag along with my camera and the voice recorder and all that kind of stuff.
In a bag.
Dennis, give us a few of your books. Tell us a few of your books in case people are interested. Todd put down at the bottom where we can get your books. What are some of the titles that you've written?
Haunted Adirondacks, Haunted Old Forge, Murder of a Herkimer County Teacher, which is true crime, Haunted Mohawk Valley, Haunted Utica, Lunatic Asylum at Utica.
I know I should get mine out too because I have mine.
Oh, thank you.
There we go. Yeah, lots of great books. And what I love about you, Dennis, is you investigate every place that's in your books. You're not just taking hearsay, you're actually investigating, which I really respect. So that was really good. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight for this live cast. This was a lot of fun.
And here's the other cool thing. They don't necessarily know this, but we're ending the live cast right now, but we're actually going to be doing an after the live cast podcast very briefly that we're going to record, and just members of our group can actually hear what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
So maybe less ghosts and more other stuff, Harley Davidson talk and stuff.
That's right. So before we go, yes, on the 19th of this month, Ghostober, the four of us, Sue, Damon, Todd, and I will be joining Deej on Digging with Deej. And we'll also be joining Audra, who is actually with us, Jersey History Hunter. She will be doing part 2 of the live stream after we talk to Deej for about an hour. So a couple hours worth of really great conversation, and I'm sure some craziness going on too. That's on October 19th. So Deej has a Facebook page. Make sure you like her page, and she'll put the link up there that night.
Do you guys remember the movie The Omen by any chance?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so do you remember when the guys, the reporters taking the pictures, and then they take this picture of the priest and it's kind of grainy and weird looking? Look at me right in that picture and tell me I don't look like the guy that's going to have the thing fall off the church and slice me in half.
You
Right?
look so badass in that picture.
Well, listen, I am badass.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
no question
Oh, yeah.
about that.
That
But
was the new
You have to
Adirondack.
tell the story.
I do not want to tell the story.
what
He was-
story?
His name was supposed to be Damien.
Oh my
Ah.
God!
Because of the Omen.
All right, we got to end this podcast.
All right.
Aha.
Dennis, you got your rosary on your buddy? Let's do
Uh-oh.
it. What's going on?
I knew there was something about this guy.
See, I tried to tell you guys. I tried.
We need an old
Why do you
priest
think I
and a
wear a
young
ball
priest.
cap? Always
Dennis,
standing
Damon,
with
Sue.
Brett, So
Thanks for being with us
Thank
tonight.
you,
We're
guys.
just going
We
to set
love
you
you.
guys aside for a second, and then we'll be back with the recording of the other
You
stuff.
see
They
what
always
they
get
do
put
with us?
aside.
Yeah,
You
I see how
Oh my
Oh, my
God, I love
goodness.
those guys. I love them. See how much fun it is investigating with them, Todd? You got to come out and we'll do an investigation.
And I've said this to you. It's like part of, when you do investigate, one of the things that like bothers me is finding the right people to investigate with. You want to have people that have the same mindset, that have
Yeah.
the same techniques, that, going into an investigation with the same thought process on how the
Yeah.
whole thing should lay out. I mean, just hearing Damon and Dennis and everybody talk about how they got in an investigation and they needed to shut it down.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
sometimes groups go in and they don't know where that line is, so they can't make the decision.
Right.
And sometimes it's not the spirits or the energy that's the problem. Sometimes there's actual human beings involved that make the situation unsafe. And you need to be able to
Totally.
go, okay, we're done. We're
Totally
just going to
agree.
shut this down
Totally
and keep
agree.
everybody safe.
You know what? I
So-
have a great question for after the live cast that we're going
Okay.
to record that I want to ask those guys too.
Okay, well,
so I'll
what's the
save it for then.
What's the question? And then people will have to get to
Well,
the live cast or the.
I'm kind of curious as to what they think about chemistry within a group.
Oh, yeah.
And knowing when it works and what do you do when you're feeling like it doesn't work? How do you handle that? What kind of things do you do in your group to keep your morale up? All kinds of stuff like that.
Okay. I might
Yeah.
have some math questions and some karaoke that I want them to do. So that's the route I'm going to go.
This ought to be really interesting.
Sweet Caroline, something like
I can see
that.
Dennis doing it.
Yeah, well, he's the one I was thinking of.
He's a
So-
party animal.
That's going to do it for this live cast. Thanks for tuning in. And yes, there is going to be an after the live cast podcast that members of the Stay Weirdos, Friends of the Sandy
and Toddcast. If you're a member, if you're not a member, get over to that group and request to join. We'll let you in. We have such a great time in that group. It's just a safe space for no judgment and just a lot of fun. So make sure that you join that group so you can see what goes on after the live cast.
All right. Until next time, hey, have a great week.
Good night, guys.
Bye.